How's it going, Kevin? Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. How you doing, Garrett?
Not too bad. Hard to believe we're already in the Q3 here.
I know you're just flying by.
Gonna be winter before we know it.
Right.
Um, well, thanks for your time. I understand we have a pretty exciting power session on kind of changing the way AP is done and utilizing AI to make things smarter and more efficient.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
So kind of guess we'll put you on the spot here, throw some questions your way and go from there.
Yeah, let's do it.
So all right, well, I see we got our Nova platform open. So let's say we have a PM that just got a vendor quote for materials. What would they do first in ProNovos?
Yeah, so the first thing you always want to do when you're buying anything out is obviously once you have your quote and you're like, hey, this looks good, let's go ahead and buy it, is create the PO. So if you take this quote as an example, usually what you would have to do when you're creating the PO is you'd have to go into your system and manually type in each of these line items. What we're able to do using AI is basically make that process a lot easier. Where if I come over here and let's grab my quote and I just drag and drop it in, what it's actually going to do is read everything in that quote and extract all the line items and basically produce that quote for you. So you're not having to basically do all that manual data entry. It's basically going to take everything from that quote that I had right here and populate everything here. So you can see it's giving me the description, all the individual line items, the vendor. So this vendor will actually match to your vendor list that's coming from your accounting system. So you're not having to like free text this here. It's basically saying, okay, on the quote, it's Summit Pie and, or Summit Pipe and Supply. What's one that matches there? It's then created that PO for you and everything. So you can kind of see the total. So real quickly, you go from quote to actual PO.
I love it. Nice and efficient there.
Yeah.
Do you have to retype that quote?
Nope. Yeah. So that's the nice thing. It's basically it's going to pre-populate based on all the line items from the quote. So the second you get the quote from the vendor and you're like, hey, this looks good. I want to issue them a PO. You can kind of just drag and drop it and let the system create the PO for you.
Oh, that's great. Nice. So, before we commit to this spend, how do I know I can afford it?
Yeah. So what you'll see is there's two tabs for this line item here. You've got the description tab, which is basically giving you kind of everything from that quote, the description, the quantity, the unit price, the amount. But then if I go to the budget tab here, what you've seen is it's actually already pre-coded what all those line items should go to. So because we're connected to your accounting system, we can see what the budget on this project is, what the different phases, what the different cost codes are, what the different cost classes are, and it will code it for you. And then down at the bottom here, what you can see is it's actually then looking at your job cost, what you're committing on this PO, and it's kind of telling you where you stand on the budget. So basically what you're able to see is as you're kind of buying out the project and creating these POs in real time, you're basically going to check to see how it actually stacks up across your budget.
Oh, wow, excellent. Okay. So how does the vendor actually get the PO?
Yeah, so once it's actually created here, you've got two options. You can either download it to a PDF or email it out by issuing the PO. So if I want to just create a PDF to see what it looks like, you'll see what this PO looks like. It's got the draft one on it because I haven't actually issued it yet, but basically from here, you can send out that PO directly to your vendor. And if I want to issue it here, you can kind of just type in the email in and then send it.
I love it. Nice and easy.
Yeah.
So let's say I already have POs in my ERP. Does this fight with Foundation?
Yeah, so if you're already doing your POs in your ERP and you're happy with that, what you can do here is just go up to settings and then select this here. So right now you can see I'm creating my purchase orders in Nova. So that means when I'm looking at my cost forecast and I'm looking at my commitments totals on the cost forecast or anywhere else where we're showing commitments, it will pull from these purchase orders created natively in Nova. But if you've already got it kind of working from your ERP, then you can select this here, and then that way, basically, you're superseding the purchase order module in Nova, and it would basically populate all of your commitments from your accounting system that you already have entered.
Okay. So let's say 2 weeks later the invoice shows up. Who has to touch it?
Yeah. So if I go to the company level, and if I go to payables and I look at the AP intake, what you can do here is once you've received an invoice, you can just click up here and then you can drag and drop the PDF in. Or you could set up kind of an automated email address where you could just forward it to that email address and it would automatically upload. So once you've seen it here, so I've already done it. You have kind of pre-baked one in here. So here's the invoice from that supply company. I can come in here and look at it. And what you'll see is it is smart enough to route it to the actual project. And kind of actually, you can kind of see a preview of what that invoice is. So once you've received it, you're obviously going to want the project manager to approve it. So once you upload it, the AI will basically scan it and route it to that project for the PM's approval.
Very nice. Okay. How does it know which project and PM this actually belongs to?
Yeah, so it's going to look at the actual invoice here. So if I look at it, you can see on the project number here, you've got 24007. So typically on the invoice that you get from your vendors, there's going to be a call out to a PO or a project or some other kind of delineator that basically tells you which project that's going to be associated to. So basically, the AI is going to scan the entire PDF and look for those indicators, whether it's that project number or the PO number. And then if for whatever reason it doesn't automatically route it, this would show up blank and then you could kind of drop it down. So if it's like a random invoice, you're like, I have no idea what this is related to.
Yeah.
They didn't actually put anything on it. You always have that option to kind of manually route it if it kind of stumps the AI.
Oh, great. Okay. So are there any safeguards in place to kind of prevent us from paying the same invoice twice?
Yeah, so we've only got the one invoice showing up here, but once it's routed and approved and you pay it, this will show up as paid. And then if I upload the exact same invoice, basically there will be a check in place to basically say like, hey, you've already approved and paid this invoice because they'll basically be looking at that invoice number. So it's going to say, hey, based on the PDF, there's a matching invoice number, same project, same amount, same everything. These are identical invoices. I can already tell the
Sure.
system that you've paid it, and it will basically flag and say like, "Hey, you don't need to do anything with this. It's already been paid."
Okay, great. So let's say the PM now opens it to be approved. What's Nova going to tell them?
Yep. Yeah. So if I go back to the project level here, if I go to buyout, so we were looking at purchase orders earlier, I can now look at my AP approvals, and you can see that here's the invoice waiting on them to approve. So they would come in here, review it, make sure all the line items look good. So you can kind of see everything's coded here. And again, it's pre-coding it based on your budget. So that PM's not having to go in here and code each of these individual line items. They can basically come in and say, okay, based on what the AI agent knows about the project and the budget, it looks like this is PVC pipe fittings. Obviously, that's going to go to the rough plumbing line item for material. And then you can kind of see the score right here of how confident the AI is. So, typically anything that's 75% or above is going to be pretty accurate. But if it's not confident in something, it's going to tell you right here. And you kind of always go in and change it if you need to. And then once it all looks good, you can go ahead and approve it.
Okay, fairly easy process there.
Yep.
So what happens to my committed costs when they hit approve?
Yeah, so if I actually approve this invoice, what you'll then see is your open commitment would go down. So if I've approved it against the PO, you'll see this go down from whatever that invoice amount was. So that way you can kind of track, what's actually been invoiced across each of your open POs in the system.
Nice, got it. Okay, let's say 6 months from now the owner asks what we spent on 6-inch gate valves. How long would that take?
Yeah, so this is my favorite part of the whole AI workflow is if I go back to, actually, let me go back to the invoice here. So when we receive that invoice and we're scanning to check to see if we can find the project or the PO number, what you'll also see is we're extracting all of the line items on this invoice. So each line item that shows up on this invoice. So again, let's look at this here. So I've got 6-inch PVC pressure pipe, DR18 blue. What you'll see here is it's actually extracting that and pulling it out, and you can kind of see what that total is. Now, what that allows us to do is if I go back to the project level, if I am scanning each invoice that I'm receiving on the project, I can now start to put a material list together of everything that I've brought on this project. So if I want to know what I spent on gate valves, I can come in here and type in gate valve and I can see exactly what I paid for it. Okay, 6 cent resilient wedge gate valve. I bought two of them for $645 a piece. And then I can also see the cost code that it got coded to. So not that does a couple things. One, if you're needing to kind of price out change orders or an estimate, or you're just curious what you spent on something, you can kind of search your material list and see what it is. The other thing that it does is because you are tying it back to the cost code here. Previously, if you looked at your cost code material item, you might see like, hey, there's an invoice from, this pipe and supply company for $10,000, but it's a bit of a black box over that. What was in that $10,000 invoice? Because we're extracting all the material line items, you can then actually drill into that cost code and you can then actually kind of start to see all of the specifics of what you actually spent within that cost code that actually may have contributed to you saving money or going over budget. So it just gives you an extra layer of detail to understand what you're actually buying on any given project.
Oh, wow, okay, understood. Well, I think that's about it for my questions today. You have anything else that you kind of noticed we haven't touched on?
Um, that's the big ones. I guess we kind of skipped over it, but part of the existing buyout is kind of the payables. So like the same way you have AP payables in kind of the existing ProNovos platform in Nova, there's kind of the same kind of page where you could go in and look at the aging status for all of your invoices. You can update the payment date, which would impact your cash flow forecast. You can link it to AR invoices. So all that is still there. Reviewing the invoices and the aging status. What we're trying to do in Nova is kind of help everything that's upstream of that, from getting the quote to creating the PO to then receiving the invoice, checking that invoice against the PO, coding it, and then actually looking at what was the actual material in those invoices once it's been approved, that you can go back and kind of tell you more about the project.
Okay. Um, well, we got a couple minutes left here at the end. Maybe we'll open up for questions, see if we got anything, and not call it a day.
Yeah, well, I don't see any questions coming
Oh,
in, Garrett. So either we,
we got one coming in here.
oh, we do. Okay.
Yep.
I may have missed it. What's it say?
Can Nova POs sync back to Foundation?
I knew we were going to get that question. Not yet. So one of the things that Foundation is working on is a API that would allow us to automate the sync back to Foundation. In the meantime, what we will be working on is having a AI functionality that would basically create the Excel import file automatically formatted the correct way for you that you could just re-upload into Foundation. So we're kind of in a holding pattern until our partners at Foundation kind of release the API. But in the meantime, what we'll look at doing is kind of having that automated Excel import process that would make it a little bit easier to get not only the purchase orders, but hopefully also the AP approvals and the coding back in the Foundation as well.
Great. I think that might be it for questions today. So
Very cool.
can kind of call it. And I believe our next session coming up is on, I want to say cash flow forecast. No, yeah, cash flow forecasting in Nova. So
Nice.
be another good one ahead.
Should be a very good one. Yeah.
So, well, thanks everyone for attending, and we'll have the recording if you need it.
Very cool. Thanks, Garrett.
Yep. Enjoy your day. Bye.